So Kimi, which is the new film by Steven Soderbergh. When I said Kimi and you said, how do you spell it? I said Kimi, like that. Okay, so directed by Steven Soderbergh, written by David Koepp, and starring Zoe Kravitz. The story is that Zoe Kravitz is Angela Childs, a woman working for, she lives in an apartment, and her contact with the world is now pretty much virtual. She doesn't go out. The only people she sees is anyone who comes to her apartment. She works for a company called Amygdala, which, of course, is the name, is a very Cronenbergian name. That's the part of the brain that deals with emotions, I believe. It's right, isn't it? The amygdala.
If you say it confidently,
sounds like it,
I'll
but it's
go along with it.
Very Cronenbergy. And this is the company behind what is essentially a next generation Siri. This thing is called Kimi. And Kimi, you give Kimi instructions and Kimi responds to them. You know, Kimi, turn the radio on, Kimi, do this thing, Kimi, do that. The reason that Kimi is special is because Kimi learns and advances and gets better. How does this happen? Well, it's not algorithms. Kimi, controversially, uses real people. So people listen into Kimi's questions and so Kimi involves real people. And this is our heroine. What she does is she's somebody who sits at home listening to Kimi questions and answering them in real time so that Kimi can actually learn, so not just an algorithm. Then she hears or thinks she hears something that sounds suspicious, alarming, terrifying even. What on earth is she hearing? Is it as awful as it sounds? She gets in touch with the company and says, I've heard something really terrible. And they say, oh, fine, brilliant. Bring the evidence in, which involves her having to go out of her apartment, which she doesn't want to do. But she's got to the point that she's so paranoid, she doesn't trust anyone, including the people she's taking the evidence to. Here's a clip.
I'm with you, you know?
Okay.
Okay. Can I hear the streams then?
Oh. Right now?
Well, yes.
Oh. Sorry, I thought that you said we would do it in the presence of the FBI?
That's not exactly what I said, but I have to know what we're dealing with.
We're dealing with what sounds like a premeditated murder.
Yeah, how do I know that?
Because I just told you. Twice now.
So you've got that kind of paranoid thing going on in the background. You know, you remember Unsane from 2018, which again had this thing about a female protagonist who people think has got a history of mental issues, therefore is not a reliable witness. And that terrifying thing about you've discovered something, but everyone thinks that you're the one who's out of whack. So the film, I mean, on one level, this is basically a Siri-era remake of Rear Window and The Conversation via Blowout, because it's, in the apartment, it's hearing something, it's believing it, not knowing what you've heard and being confused by it. It's also, there's a little bit of that Audrey Hepburn Wait Until Dark thriller in there as well. What Soderbergh has a knack of doing, not a habit, but a knack, is of taking the old and the new, a classic setup and making it somehow modern, of taking the highbrow, it's an interesting idea in the amygdala, blah, 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 and the lowbrow, let's make an exploitation movie. The intellectual, machines are monitoring all our lives, and the visceral, let's have a chase sequence, which involves people running and hiding and doing all that sort of stuff. And I think that what makes his movies fun are he kind of loves genre cinema in a way that I really like. You never get the sense with the Steven Soderbergh film that he feels above genre. What you get is the sense that he loves whatever genre is that he's making. Whether he's making, fighty movies, or whether he's making, slick con man movies, or whether he's making movies about sudden outbreaks of virus that suddenly become horribly contemporary.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
A few years later, did you watch that during lockdown?
No, I watched it when it came out.
Did you watch it again since?
No, I decided that was the very last.
Well, the very last thing.
But I remember being suddenly aware of everyone in the cinema who was coughing suddenly.
So I thought it was really well made. I thought it really worked well. I thought that Zoe Kravitz's character was absolutely full on, and it had that thing. I mean, if you're a cinema fan, which I am, it's a real pleasure seeing a film by somebody who seems to enjoy just the very idea of cinema as much as that. Now, it is on Sky Cinema and now from tomorrow. So it is a streaming thing, but it is something which is made by somebody who's, you know, as I said, clearly in love with genre cinema.